Hey, hi everyone. Good Friday to you. It's another Lunch and Learn. It's February 17th, 2023, and we've got a really robust group today from many parts of the world. And then there'll be folks seeing us afterwards as well. I think wellness historically has been all about body, mind, and spirit. And that's great. That's been really powerful. What a concept. And now with the Bauman Integrative Wellness, we're adding creative expression and social justice and group wellness and team wellness and social wellness is really our goal. So it brings me great pride and joy to introduce my colleague and friend, Christina Wright. So I'm going to let Christina introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just so excited to see all of you and really appreciate the invitation to share this topic with everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and then we'll get started. All right. And everyone see the PowerPoint okay? Fantastic. All right.
It's not full. Now it's full screen.
Okay, great. Perfect. So just to share a little bit about myself and also just kind of my journey towards this work. I guess things started out with two interests in two different buckets. I grew up in the theater and doing arts and just really enjoying kind of the creative arts areas, pursued it academically, got a bachelor's in theater, and then ended up going to do a master's in film studies. So I've always kind of had this like academic and personal interest and background in the arts. And then I also started working with children and youth. And I started working particularly in the area of character and leadership development, working with kids to think about how they're developing character qualities and thinking about how to be leaders in the world. And then I decided to take these two passions of mine and put them together. And so on top of being a film and television instructor and film curator, I'm also a character and leadership development coach, a curriculum developer, and I integrate the arts into curriculum that's focused on getting children and youth to think about how is it that I'm showing up in the world? What is my inner being? And then how am I translating that into action out into the world? And I started using film in particular as a model of how they could learn about character choices that people make. What are different situations, scenarios that people get into? And what can we learn about those characters' journeys and how might that influence decisions that we're making in our life? So it's kind of focused on kids and kind of focused on character and leadership. And then something really significant happened in the spring of 2020, which was the COVID pandemic. And I had been running an after school arts and character program that went on hold, schools closed, everything shut down. And what was interesting was that during shelter in place, I ended up on a webinar with the executive director of UCLA Arts and Healing. And she was talking about their program in social emotional arts and how this work that they were doing, not just with youth, but also with adults, using social emotional arts for the therapeutic benefits of improving social emotional learning and improving mental health. And this really got me thinking just beyond, working with kids, beyond working with character and leadership, thinking about, just the impact of the pandemic alone with social isolation and kind of the feelings of loneliness or anxiety or depression that many were going through from that. But just recognizing that even beyond the pandemic, that we are in a world where we are facing very serious mental health issues, that there's, I think 1 in 5 youth are expected to have mental health issues from anxiety and depression to eating disorders. So there's a huge need to kind of focus our attention into how are we helping to alleviate mental health stressors. And so this got me kind of expanding my research and expanding my interest in, okay, beyond character and leadership, how can I really focus on the arts for mental health? So that took me on a journey. And this journey led me to a whole bunch of research. And what was really interesting was that I found that an increased interest and growing body of scientific evidence is out there that proves the efficacy of the arts, not only in promoting and managing mental health, but also physical health. And for me, this was just like mind blowing. I mean, I sort of understood, the direction of mental health and how the arts can, help with our mental well-being, but like I hadn't connected the dots, and I hadn't really made the connection that it also helps us physically as well, right? Because we're holistic beings, and the mind and the body are connected. And so, of course, if it helps one, it probably helps the other. So I started doing all this research in how it was helping physical health. And there's extraordinary potential to combine the arts with modern science and health practices to better utilize creative expression as a public health medicine. Again, just mind blowing. So I'm still doing this research, and I'm like, I gotta know what does the arts do? And so I started reading about very specific examples of how creative expression helps with our mental health and our physical health. And what I found is that with mental health, it decreases feelings of loneliness. Whether we're experiencing the arts as an observer of art or a creator of art, art can help us feel less alone in the world because they help us forge new social connections as well as recapture ones that may have been lost.
You already ordered online.
It also decreases depression and anxiety. Creating art has been linked to increases in dopamine, which in turn increases feelings of happiness.
Excuse me.
Skip the line when you order online.
Somebody's got a background going. If you could mute yourself,
Stay on the
please.
line. Someone will be right with you.
Let's see. Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
All right. Mental health benefits also include improving brain cognition. There's increasing evidence in rehabilitation medicine and the field of neuroscience that art enhances brain function by impacting brainwave patterns, emotions, and the nervous system. Art also raises serotonin levels, and these benefits don't just come from making art. Again, they also occur with experiencing art, looking at art, or hearing art. And it also encourages creative thinking. The power in art isn't really about what's there, but about how it makes you think and how it makes you feel. So again, even just observing art improves creativity because it broadens your perspective by introducing these new ways of looking at the world. And it invites inspiration by helping you think about things that you wouldn't have thought about before. Now going over to the physical health benefits, art is a great way to relieve stress. If you have, say, if you're working with a patient, and by helping them engage in the arts, they're relaxing, and that allows them to focus their mind on other things, such as processing their emotions, focusing on themselves, or working on emotional release. It helps to reduce blood pressure because engaging in art puts you in that relaxed state. And this was particularly significant for me because I was actually just recently diagnosed with arthritis in my hip. So I was really excited to know that the arts fight inflammation. Those who experience more positive emotions, especially awe and wonder and amazement, which are feelings commonly associated with experiencing art, had the lowest levels of cytokine interleukin 6, which is a marker of inflammation. So engaging in art can actually help fight inflammation. And then it also bolsters the immune system because you're lowering the levels of chemicals that cause inflammation, for example, that trigger diabetes or heart attacks or other illnesses. Again, you're bolstering your immune system. So really just incredible mental and physical health benefits. And then additionally, again, on the empowerment end, arts helps to build confidence and empower self-care. It gives you just a really simple, tangible opportunity to accomplish a task and see it through. It connects you to the moment. It can be a path towards self-reflection and mindfulness. When you're engaging in a particular art modality, it's a way to kind of remove the extraneous noise that you might be feeling and just be present with what's in the moment. And so if I'm drawing a picture or I'm listening to some music or I'm journaling in my notebook, what's present for me in the moment. And the art helps me to ground and focus on that present moment and remove all the rest. And then it provides an outlet for expression. The arts can really articulate things that can't always be put into words. Sometimes you can't verbalize it, but you can draw it, or you can paint it, or you can sing it or hum it. It really helps to bring complex or difficult thoughts and feelings into view. And I also wanted to share this quote from the World Health Organization, again, really connecting the science and the arts together, that the arts contribute to core detriments of health, playing a critical role in health promotion, helping to prevent the onset of mental illness and age-related physical decline, supporting the treatment or management of mental illness, non-communicable diseases, and neurological disorders, and assisting in acute and end-of-life care. So now we have all this amazing research, what the arts does for us mentally and physically. Why the arts? How are the arts so uniquely positioned to be able to provide such incredible mental and physical benefits? So the 4 distinct properties of the arts is that they engage, they get our attention, and they capture our interest. The arts inspire. Creativity motivates us towards achieving higher and more ambitious goals. Again, the arts are empowering. They activate a sense of confidence and intentionality. And then they also connect us. They develop a shared sense of belonging and togetherness with others to form stronger bonds. So going back into this, again, this connection between science and creativity, as I was kind of going through and completing my research, I found out about this wonderful organization called Foundation for Arts and Healing. And they're really known as kind of the leading organization in the work of arts and creative therapy. And looking at just kind of their key notations of the power of the arts as creative therapy, they say that the arts are transformational and engage our hearts, minds, and souls. So again, this idea that we're holistic beings, that above and beyond, it just helps with reducing stress or helping with depression or helping with inflammation, like it has these individual qualities to fight these individual things, but holistically, it's really helping our entire body, mentally and physically, to transform. There's a transformative process that's happening because of the holistic beings that we are. And on an individual level, the arts have a universal appeal because they elevate empathy, compassion, and connection. As artists, we put all of our heart and soul into our work, and there's some sort of expression or point of view that we're putting into. A painter puts in a painting, or a filmmaker puts into a film. There's something they want to share. Art is really a form of storytelling. So there's always something to be learned from that art. And so when we are an artist creating that art, or when we are a recipient of art, looking at a painting in a museum or watching a film, we're able to connect with what the artist put into that painting or put into that film. There may be that sense of, oh my gosh, I really get where they're coming from. I can really empathize with that situation that character went through in that movie because I've been in a similar situation. So on an individual level, the arts really help us develop empathy and compassion. And then from a collective societal perspective, it can really be a unifying force to decreasing social barriers and strengthening interpersonal connections. The arts is often used, and I'll get into this a little bit more when I talk about social justice arts, but the arts can really be used as a way of examining society as a whole, like not just who are we as individuals, but what society are we living in, and what does that society believe, and what are those ideologies, and what do we stand for, and how are we interacting in society? And art can be a powerful form of social change and trying to promote a type of society that artist envisions. Hey, this could be the world if we strive towards this, and getting groups of people together to create collective art to share that vision together. So the Foundation for Arts and Healing has identified 4 primary art modalities that are most conducive to creative therapy. And I've listed those 4 here, and I've also listed a couple that I also like to work with. So the 4 of them are visual arts, music, creative movement, and expressive writing. And with all four of these modalities, I mean, again, all the things that were listed for mental and physical health benefits can be achieved by all of these modalities. But I also wanted to point out some very interesting and kind of unique things that each of these art modalities will bring. As was kind of highlighted on earlier, what's really powerful about the visual arts, again, whether somebody's drawing a picture or doing a painting or creating a sculpture with ceramics, it reveals unconscious materials and symbols that can't be fully expressed through words. So that form of storytelling, that form of creative expression of, I have something to say, but maybe I just can't find quite the right words for it, but I can draw a symbol or create the sculpture that's going to represent what it is that I'm feeling that I just can't put into words. With music, there's actually evidence of the effectiveness of auditory stimulation for pain management. So there are data and statistics that show that those suffering from physical pain, that there can be a reduction in physical pain just through auditory stimulation and listening to music. For a creative movement, going back to my theater roots and promoting the theater a little bit, those that are given theater training exhibit word and listening recall, problem solving, self-esteem, and psychological well-being. So if you've got any budding actors in the family or anyone who's thinking of doing theater, community theater, or studying theater in school, there's some great wellness benefits to being in the theater. And then finally, expressive writing. What's really unique about journaling is that studies have shown that individuals who have written about their own traumatic experiences will exhibit statistically significant improvements in various measures of physical health, reductions in visits to physicians, and better immune system functioning. So that's, again, particularly when you're writing about any sort of trauma that you faced, expressive writing can be a very powerful tool for that. Some additional things that I've added to the foundations list, because I'm a film person and my whole background is mostly in film studies. And that's where I, started my work when I was doing character ed and leadership development with kids. What I love about the movies is that we have a story that's acted out in front of us, and it's usually some sort of character arc is what we call them in screenplay terminology, a character arc that the character is going through in their story. And there's a goal that they're trying to achieve. And as they're trying to achieve that goal, there's challenges and obstacles that they face along the way. And they learn to overcome those obstacles to achieve their goal. And usually by the end of the film, there is this transformative experience where they're not quite the same at the end of the film as they were at the beginning of the film. Because as they went on their hero's journey, or however you want to call it, they learned something as part of the choices they made and things that they learned along their way. And so I think that when we think about what are our interpersonal relationships with others, are there any relationships that maybe need to be healed? Are there unresolved feelings of pain that we're having in relationships, or just with the world in general and the society we live in? Film and media can really be an incredible way of connecting to those similar stories that we see in the movies. And thinking about, okay, if I'm in this situation in real life that this character was in this movie, what are ways that I can work through this, either similar to them, or maybe I would make different choices than them. So film can be a really powerful tool to examine individual choices and societal impacts and how we approach our being and our doing in the world. And then to that end, I'm also a real advocate of social justice arts. I really encourage those that I work with to think about how they can create art that raises critical consciousness, helps to strengthen and repair and restore relationships, builds community, and provides a call to action to promote social change. What is it that we can also create collectively together, again, that shares that vision of the world that we want to have? What is this world that maybe we're not living in yet, but that we want to see, or those changes we want to see in the world? And how can art be an expression of that change? So what is compelling about creative arts is its accessibility. So with all of those art modalities that I mentioned, what's really powerful about the arts is that anyone can do it. Anybody can walk into a Michael's craft store and buy art supplies and paint a picture at home. Anyone can listen to music or sing a song. Anyone can open up a journal and do some writing. So art is very accessible. And again, as we talked about, there's many outlets for expression, many different art modalities that can be done. And it provides a powerful vehicle that unifies us with a shared sense of reality that helps us feel connected and make sense of the world. And I wanted to show a video because it's one thing to really talk about all of these benefits that we receive from the arts, and it's another thing to really hear the testimonials from others. So I wanted to share a short little video that was created by the Foundation for Arts and Healing that has two individuals that just share their experience and the impact that art has had on them through engaging in the arts. Can everyone see the Vimeo up? Is it up and available? I'll try again.
Oh, yes, we did see it. It was.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
It showed up, but it didn't start.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that it was showing. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming.
Since the beginning of time, art and the creative energy behind it has captured our imagination, energized us, comforted us, and inspired us. Creative expression has an undeniable power, providing insight into what it means to be human. Is there something about creativity, how we engage with it and share it with others, that can actually improve our health? Can art be medicine?
There's never been a culture without art, never been a culture without poetry, never been a culture without music. They must be delivering something to us that we really need for our psyches.
You think back to those days and all the challenges that existed just to survive and have food, but they still took time for art, so obviously it had some value for them. And that value clearly had something to do with health. We've forgotten the original stuff that worked quite well before we had all the sort of medications and other sort of technologies for treatment.
In very traumatic illnesses, in very traumatic situations like war, everyone is changed.
I lost 3 Marines due to IEDs. Lost several of my friends on one deployment.
When I was 16 years old, I had a heart transplant. I was in the hospital for 3 months.
And I found it odd that each time I did something with art therapy, I felt better because there was something in me that was dying to get out. And through art, I was able to express it.
I remember writing about this. I remember writing to my heart. I remember asking it to please work with me. I remember really almost in letter form, just saying, I know that this environment isn't natural for you. I know that you are in a foreign place, but so am I. And together we can find a home.
It's essential to add other components than the traditional medical modalities. Anything from the use of artwork, the use of light, the use of drama, the use of storytelling, and the engagement of the patients and the patients' families in an art experience to help them have the optimal care that they deserve.
I really believe that in the next few years we will have some detailed answers as to what works.
We are learning that storytelling and arts and emotional health is just as fundamental to well-being as your physical health.
And just thinking about it, talking about it, writing it down, expressing it obliquely, expressing it directly, that can help.
I would have never talked about what this meant, but I was able to express it through something that everybody could see what it was and see what it meant. But it wasn't me. I was shielded in some ways. I was protected. I was able to express it in a way that was safe for me.
Even though people might think that art is not the same as medicine, it was my medicine, and I think that without it, I just would have still been sick.
Through simple things, able to create something that makes it okay to feel the way I feel and help take that burden away.
Medicine has made great strides in the past 100 years. It's now time to go one step further by incorporating artistic expression into the ways we provide health and healing, all will stand to benefit.
Okay. Did anyone have any comments or questions they wanted to ask so far? Yeah, within.
Hi, Christina. I'm one of Christina's students, and I just love what she does in the world. I wanted to just share that Marine captain, man, that just touched my heart, because I have family and that, is in that branch of the service. And that just, when you think about the healing of all of the folks that have gone through these terrible experiences and all child abuse and everything, and sexual abuse of children that we have, this is just totally powerful for me. And I wanted to tell you that on Valentine's Day, I took some time and made some beautiful little cards for my 2 grandchildren. And one of them actually appreciated it. But I was so lifted up that whole day. There was nothing that was great about that day, except that I had spent that time. Took about maybe 35 minutes and done that. And I just, I wouldn't have appreciated that until I, started studying under Christina and Dr. Bauman. So thank you, Christina.
Thank
Christina.
you. Yeah, I think now that we're taking questions, maybe we can go back on gallery view and just see if there's any other questions, and then we can go back to the PowerPoint.
Someone has a question. Someone else had a question.
Yeah, can we go back to gallery? Great, thanks. All right, so I think it was Sherry, did you have a question?
I just wanted to say this is really phenomenal, and thank you for following through in your research and connecting. In the field of medicine and healthcare, we definitely do see huge benefits, as you say, transformational benefits, whether it's with military or the youth. And we're seeing such an uptick in terms of mental illness right now, status post the last 3 years, that working in the arts, and especially with film, it's very engaging. It's storytelling, whether telling our own stories or being involved in other people's stories. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Sherry, for sharing that. I appreciate that. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, Briar.
I'm studying to be a clinical mental health therapist, and I'm especially interested in art therapy. And so it's so wonderful to hear this and see this, and it's very exciting. And then I'm also really, this may have already been shared, but if there's the references from the research that you did available, then I'd love to see it, because it would be so helpful. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Vidu.
Yeah, Vidu.
Hi, Christina and Dr. B. My God, this is just blowing my mind. Just fantastic stuff. I'm already a believer because of, my background in theater and now in expressive arts. But I've been reading some incredible papers. Like I read one yesterday about the use of poetry. It's called reminiscence poetry with dementia patients. So patients have different kinds of memory, and and often people with dementia are sort of deprived of their personhood, kind of looked down upon. And this was wonderful. It was very simple, like depending on the kind of memory, gather stories, and then the poet would co-author a poem with the person with dementia. So I'm actually planning to try that out, with a friend of mine who's suffering from some decline, and who would keep going back into memory and wanting to storytell about the past, and the present was very blurry for her. So that's one thing. And the other thing is like around art and disease. I'm really interested in art. The use of art, we know like it's helpful with eating disorders, but I'm specifically looking for information around diabetes and eating disorders and kind of getting to the root and under issues. You mentioned inflammation, even that, but like what's under disease and accessing that as a point for healing. So And I'll pause. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. Any other comments or reflections on just the data or the research so far? Oh, thank you, Deborah, for your comment in the chat. I'm a self-taught artist that has used art over the last 10 plus years to heal from end-stage multiple melanoma. Now I'm researching to see how I can begin a class for others that want to go from simply survive to personally thriving mentally and physically. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Deborah, for sharing that. All right. Well, if we want to go back to the slides,
Sure.
I'll finish
Another
us off.
question someone asked, will this be archived?
Yes.
That's another question. And so, yes, it will be.
Yes. And actually, Deborah, what you're mentioning too is the perfect lead off to part two, which is just sharing a little bit about what it is that we're doing at Bauman Wellness. So as I mentioned, with all of this research that I did, I was just so incredibly inspired by these, stories that I was hearing and research about the power of the arts for healing. And I got connected with Dr. Bauman, and he had talked to me about the aims of Bauman Wellness and some of the stuff that he had been doing with daily wellness practices. And he said, I would really love to look at how the arts could be integrated with these 5 daily wellness practices. And as noted by Janet Chu, the marriage of the arts and wellness practices is a natural example of how creativity connects with the science of recovery, resilience, and longevity. The array of settings from medical and natural health schools and wellness centers to extended living facilities, companies, and public schools. So there was, already kind of this, idea of what would it look like to marriage these two together, bring the arts and integrate it into wellness practices. And if we could go to the next slide. This is the model for the 5 wellness practices. So at Bauman Wellness, the focus is on eating for health, joyful movement, mindfulness, healing relationships, and soulful service. And so in partnership with Dr. Bauman, I started looking at how can we create experiential learning spaces, courses, trainings, workshops that integrate the arts with each of these 5 practices. So I've been helping to teach wellness education in creative expression for joyful movement, creative expression for mindfulness, creative expression for healing relationships and service. Next slide. And then the curriculum that we're using in these trainings is developed by UCLA Arts and Healing, which was, again, the company that first got me interested in this topic and started this journey for me. They have curriculum materials that are developed by creative art therapists who are also mental health professionals and trained in using the arts for achieving therapeutic objectives. So they've created all of these lesson plans, and I had the bounty of being able to go through their training and get, quote, for lack of a better phrase, certified as a social emotional arts facilitator. And when you go through their training, they gift you with all of these lesson plans. So now I have all of these lesson plans that I can use in our Bauman Wellness integrative trainings. And it is important to note that the terminology that is used for this curriculum is social emotional arts. It's not art therapy. And I just want to make that distinction that we're not looking to identify or treat disorders. We're looking at how the arts can be an aid in when again, we're facing any sort of mental health or physical health. How can the arts help with the healing of that particular mental or physical health illness? So there is a distinction that's important to make between SEA versus art therapy. But that is kind of the goal of their curriculum, is to really get us thinking about how these arts can be used as a tool for healing. And then next slide. And so one thing that I hear a lot from when I go out to people and I say, hey, I'm doing these classes with Bauman Wellness, you got to sign up for these classes with Bauman Wellness. The number one thing that I hear from a lot of people is, oh, but I'm not very good at making art, or I don't know, I don't think I can do it. So we're going to do a little bit of myth busting. For anybody who is thinking about doing art classes, my little bit of myth busting is that you don't have to be doing art professionally to be considered an artist. If you are drawing or writing or singing or dancing, you are an artist, right? We all have an artist within, and engaging in these art modalities as a form of healing brings that artist out. This idea that you're either born with talent or you're not, throw that out the window. This isn't about talent. It's not about technique. When I go through and I work with clients, I don't teach them technique. I won't teach you how to draw or how to sing or how to dance. I just teach you guided prompts that are very easy to follow that help you to heal and use the arts as a form for healing. And then this idea, again, that you have to work with an art therapist to get therapeutic benefit. Again, there is that distinction between art therapy and social emotional arts. Those that choose to work with an art therapist will absolutely get those benefits from art therapy. But if you're not working with an art therapist, and again, you're just looking to engage in the arts at home, or with an arts facilitator, you can get therapeutic benefit from doing the art. Next slide. So after that myth busting, my big audacious statement is that we are all born with an innate desire to express ourselves, and art encompasses a wider range of activities than we might imagine. It's a tool that anyone can use, and everyone is an artist. So I'm going to leave that all with you and just have that sink in, that we can all be artists. Next slide. And then I also wanted to share these last two slides are really, if you are a wellness practitioner and you are looking to work with clients and use the arts in your health practice, these are going to be helpful to keep in mind. But even for those that are just thinking of maybe taking wellness arts classes, this really helps to establish the environment that we're setting, which I think is really important. And again, hopefully will put people's minds at ease that might be having any hesitation. Again, the purpose of this type of art is not to look at it or critique it or judge it as an artwork. We're looking at it as a form of creative self-individual or a collective expression. And so how we talk about art in our spaces, so when I teach a class with Bauman Wellness and we talk about art that we're creating together, I don't use words like, or the words that I do use, but it's better to just focus on the words I do use. When I'm looking at the details of what someone's created, I say, I see or I notice. So I'm not putting, you did this or you did that, and I'm putting my own self-judgment on it. I'm just saying my observations. Oh, I see you use the color blue in your painting, or I noticed that you drew a circle. I invite self-reflection using phrases like, tell me more about this, what's going on here? Commenting on someone's effort. I see you spent a lot of time on this. Way to go. But that was really great that you spent so much time on this. Inviting storytelling. Tell me more about this. What story are you trying to share with this? Communicating sincere interest. Thank you for sharing this. And then giving nonverbal feedback, like just a smile or a nod that says, I see what you've done and I notice you. And what's really important about this type of commentary is that, again, we're honoring somebody's art as that individual form of creative expression, that it's not like, oh, I thought you were drawing a tree, but it doesn't look like a tree. There's none of that. We're not trying to have anything look like anything, and we're not judging it or labeling it as anything. It's just the inner emotions coming out, and whatever comes out is perfect because it's coming from you, and that makes it perfect. Next slide. And then two other notations, noticing expressions of feeling. It is important too that when we talk about art together, that we're not assigning a feeling onto the creator of art. So instead of saying, oh, you look happy with what you created, or you look sad with what you created, you might say something like, I see you have a smile on your face, or I notice you have a frown on your face. So again, it's really observational. It's noticing what the client has, how the client has reacted, but not assigning a label to that client's reaction. And then the most important thing, and this is always our default, that we tend to think when somebody says, hey, what do you think of what I did? We automatically jump to, oh, it's really pretty, or oh, I really like it. So we don't want to do that with our clients either. We want to be able to, first of all, say to them, what do you like about it? what does it mean to you? So put it on them first and have them be able to communicate what they like about it or what they find beautiful about it. And then if they invite you as their practitioner to comment on it, to just use words like, I find this really interesting. Like, I noticed you use the color blue and I find that really interesting. Tell me more about that. So again, just not assigning a label or a judgment to it, because a lot of times if you label art, then the person who created that art then thinks of it as being that because of how somebody has labeled it. So I want to just make clear that in the types of social emotional arts curriculum that we're using, it really avoids getting away from art technique and labels of art, and really just allowing full creative expression without any judgment. And the client is perfectly making whatever they're making. And then I think I have one last slide. If I'm actually going to pause it for more questions, and then for those that wish to stay on longer, if you would like to just experience a quick activity, I have a piece of music, and what I would propose is to just play a piece of music and then have you decide whether or not you want to draw an image, move to the music, or freestyle journal what's coming to you when you hear this music. And you can engage in one of these art modalities based on your reaction to this music. So I'll pause now just so we can open it up for more questions or comments, and anyone who needs to leave at the top of the hour can go. If anyone wants to stay a little longer and do a little practice activity, then we can do that together. Any comments or reflections anyone wants to share? I'm looking in the chat too, just because I'm a little behind now in the chat.
Chris Bauman has her hand up.
Yeah, Chris.
Hi.
Yeah, I am. I think the potential of this is so great. And I would love to learn more specific ways of being able to do this, like more specific exercises that I could have so that when I'm actually working with people, I don't have to get a blank and just say, I don't know. And more specific ways of encouraging people to be able to see this as a portal for wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for those that are interested in taking any of our arts classes, we do have a class called The Artist Within. And in each week, it's a 4-week class. And every week I focus on creative expression for one of the wellness practices in the Bauman Wellness model. And I go through a number of different activities. And so it's kind of what's beautiful about these activities is that by doing the activities, you can also learn how to facilitate the activity. So it's kind of this duo learning of you get to actually be the student and do it, and then you get to learn how to facilitate it. So we will be looking to offer another course of The Artist Within, probably starting in April. So if anyone might be interested in taking that course and learning several of these different activities, we'd love to have you. If you want to maybe even just put your email address in the chat if you want to be notified of that. And I think Johan, you were also going to put up a poll to just see when would be the best time to offer that training.
Sure, and I just sent you a direct message. Can you reply to that too, please? So I'm going to put up the poll.
Let's focus on that later. Yeah, if you could put up the poll, that'd be great.
Okay. Can everyone see the poll?
You do. We'll capture you after the poll. Okay. Poll's not up yet.
Can everyone see the poll?
No. Not showing.
No, some people are responding now. So.
Oh, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm on the wrong view. Maybe I need to be on speaker view.
I got 5, 6 people responding. So far I've got 6 people saying yes, they'd be interested. And 4 of those 6 saying they'd like it between 12 and 1:30. I'm not going to end the poll yet till everybody's had a chance. Okay. There's a seventh, 8 people responded so far. 8 of 17, 9 of 17. Just give it a couple more minutes for people to respond. So 8 of the 9 people said they'd be interested in taking a 4-week-long class, and 7 of the 9 would prefer 12 to 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to give I'm going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then if you haven't answered the poll, please do so now, and then I'm going to shut it off. Unless Ed or Christina, do you want me to keep the poll out longer?
I think it blocks the screen, so I think we'll when we're done, and then we'll go back to group share.
Okay. Well, I've just got a 10th person entering the poll. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now then. All right.
So friends, if you want to be directly notified, leave us your email and we'll just get back to you real quick.
Can you see the results?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
And I did see a question in the chat that I wanted to just briefly respond to. It said, can this be done in group setting and individual? Are there any drawbacks to group? No, it can absolutely be done either one-on-one with an individual client or with a group. I've not seen any necessarily pros or cons to either one. I think both are quite powerful. Again, with the idea with the group sharing is you just want to make sure that you abide by those guidelines I shared at the end. To make sure that everyone who is part of the group is in agreement that that's how they will receive and comment on any artwork that's shared, because it can be very vulnerable for someone to read a poem they wrote or share a picture they drew, or song lyrics that they wrote. So we just want to make sure that everyone in the group is aware of the type of space that we're creating, which is that non-judgmental space when we share the art. Yeah, Chris, it looks like you had another question.
Sorry, I didn't lower my hand.
Oh, no worries. Any other?
I think Vidu had a question or comment.
Yeah, Vidu.
I wanted to add, Christina, there's something about the group dynamic that is very, very powerful. And I see it with all Bauman Wellness classes, actually, that there's a group learning and a group synergy that happens. And also witnessing people's art is incredible. Like, I'm just learning how to witness myself, and often it's clumsy, because like you said, it's very easy to say that's beautiful and that's gorgeous, and I still will sometimes say that's beautiful, but then I'll add I notice, or I see, or I wonder, or I appreciate. So you're also learning how to witness and be present. I'm a big advocate for the group art. And my second point is because I've been working with a poetry therapist for a whole year, and I myself am also a social emotional arts facilitator. The insights I've had from poetry therapy are just remarkable. And there's something about when I write, what I've learned is calm your inner critic. It doesn't have to be good art or a good poem. It can be a scribble or a doodle, and it can be a bit of journaling. And you also have the option of making no art. And being witnessed as I speak my words out loud in poetry therapy has been transformative for me. Not just writing on paper, but you're speaking your words into space, right? So because insights unfold as I speak my words out loud. So I just wanted to say, like, I love this stuff. And yeah, I'm so happy that you did this incredible research on it. So thank you.
Thank you. Ruth Ann, did you have your hand up?
No, but I would like to say that I loved your course. I've taken the Artist Within, and it is a beautiful course, and I encourage everybody to take it, because that personal experience and opportunities to sometimes even share with the group, very rewarding, and I feel like it's going to be of great help in my future work with kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Dr. B.
So I want to thank you, Christina, as always. And what I love is that you continue to grow, you continue to reach deeper and out further. So, we inspire each other. And that's what creates community, a wellness community and healing community. And people can be very sick and also be very well. And you go, oh, what does that mean? Well, there are a lot of people who have injury and illness and trauma and all that, but there's still this state of becoming who we are, finding who we are, expressing who we are, being recognized for who we are. That's a momentary expression. And we really find our true self in community. It's not in sitting quietly in the room and praying or meditating, as much as having courage and being in a brave space and a safe space and feeling terribly vulnerable.
Yeah.
But being cared for and respected. So the thing I said in the beginning was the traditional wellness mode was body, mind, spirit, and that's fine. But this is a social transformation too. We're creating a community. We're welcoming people from different backgrounds and different experiences and all that, and that's very rich when we come together. And some people don't actively participate, but they hold space. So I think it's not a competition. We come from a society that's pretty competitive. But in terms of personal growth, spiritual growth, social growth, and having bonds of connection, when somebody has a deep share, everybody connects deeply around that share because we're all very similar. And some of us have more really kind of express it or not, but we feel the feelings. And this is what makes the healing happen.
Yeah.
So I really encourage folks to participate in these classes, to show up for these classes, and to practice at home and practice with people. So we're here to teach people to teach people. And our model is facilitation rather than pedagogy. So I think that's a very important statement, is that we're facilitating people working on themselves, and the areas that are most difficult are actually most powerful. So, I think it's been a beautiful talk, very inspiring, and
thank you.
We'll follow it up with a course, and it sounds like a daytime course at the moment has more traction. If there's enough people for an evening course, we'll do an evening course too.
Sounds great.
So for those who are not already in the Bauman Wellness community, it's free and it's wonderful. You can join by going to baumanwellness.com and click on join, and then you'll be on, kind of hosted into a mighty network as a platform, and then we share what we're doing and chats and posts and experiences. So thank you one and all for being here with us. And again, really namaste to Christina. This was really
thank
good.
you.
Also, I just wanted to point out that this and all the Lunch and Learn videos, plus all the other videos that we've done, quite an extensive library, will be up on that in the baumanwellness.co community library. So you'll be able to benefit from it.
Thank you, Chris. I one more thing with that. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're having a affordable nutrition class. It's free. So you're welcome to join us from 10 to 11 tomorrow. And if you don't have that information, you can, ask us. We'll provide it to you. Yeah, Ruthann.
I hope I didn't miss it, but what's the next Lunch and Learn going to be like?
Hey, it's a gardening class with Christine Bauman. So good cue up. Wow. So the 24th, which is only a week away, we're going to be talking about how to get the yard started and how to do some simple gardening. So
it's for this is the time of year when you start to think about your garden.
Sure.
If you want to start seeds for the summer, or you want to prepare for the spring, it depends on where you live, right? So I'm going to be talking about soil. I'm going to be talking about seeds.
Yeah.
And I also did a previous lecture about backyard gardening. How do you start a backyard garden, which I will give people the link to, so you can watch that as well. So it's going to be good.
Thank you.
Hope you can come.
Good. And it'll be the same link. I'll give you a heads up. The Lunch and Learn carries the same link. So if you mark in your calendar next Friday, noon to 1, gardening, but you may have to bring your rubber boots and your gloves and your trowel and a couple of clippers. And again, it's just like with art, if you're not a gardener, if you're not a gardener, you could be. And we can do this together. So thank you for all that.
You can all come to Mike back here.
Oh, we can make the rounds. We can do community gardening.
Mine is in South Dakota, my friend.
Okay, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's say thank you, and we'll wrap up the recording. And thank you all for being with us. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed the fellowship.
Thanks for coming, everyone.